Hi, I'm Keith Boyle. I'm the CEO of Newfound Gold, and we have a gold property up in Newfoundland that we're advancing from a resource to into development. Next steps for us is the PEA. So I hope you enjoy and get a lot out of our presentation. I'll go back here. Please be conscious that I'll be stating some forward-looking statements. And so this is our disclaimer. So the Queensway project really has evolved from 2019 when it was first discovered and to a resource that was announced back in March, a robust resource of 1.4 million ounces at 2.4 grams in the indicated category, and 610,000 ounces in the inferred category at 1.77. With that, we've got a property package that's 110 kilometers long, totaling over 175,000 hectares, with more than 610,000 meters drilled. So really not a lot of drilling for 110 kilometers, because that 610,000 really has been focused on only 5 kilometers of the 110 kilometers.
Yeah.
We're in Newfoundland, as I've mentioned, and we're close to infrastructure. We've got the town of Gander, Newfoundland, only 15 kilometers away. We have power, renewable power, hydropower that cuts through the site. So power is right there. The Trans-Canada Highway cuts through the site. So very good infrastructure. We have, within an hour's drive of the project, we have a population of about 40,000 people to draw on. And the government itself is really excited about bringing mines into production. And so they've stated publicly that they want 5 mines by 2030 and have really demonstrated that. So to get us from the exploration to the development stage, we've installed a new leadership back in starting back in December, a change at the board of directors. Paul Hewitt was installed as chair of Newfound Gold. As well, new directors, Bill Hayden, Chad Williams, myself, and Melissa Render. With that, our senior leadership, I was recruited and started this last January. Melissa Render was our VP of Exploration, and she has done a great job, finding the deposit and leading the exploration efforts. And so she was promoted back in December to president and put on the board. Mike Konevsky is our chief financial officer, and he's been at the company now for the last 5 years. Fiona Child is a doctor of geology and has spent the majority of her career, the last 20 plus years, in the communications and corporate development side. So she's new. I brought her in February. Jared Saunders, I promoted from within. He was director of environment, and so I really liked the way he engaged with the communities. He has a real way about him. He's a proud Newfoundlander and really understands the landscape in Newfoundland on both the environmental and social sides. He too is a doctor of environment. And Rob Asobgi, I brought him in as our study manager. Rob was my study manager at Reunion Gold and my last assignment, and before that he was a vice president of the Manitoba division of Hudbay that brought the Lawler mine into production. so has lots of development experience, solid mining engineer of many years. And myself, I'm Keith Boyle, and I'm a 40-year mining engineer. Most of my career, more than half of my career, has been in narrow vein gold up in the Abitibi and Timmins camps. So this kind of orogenic deposit I've seen many times, and have I guess the way to best put it is I've got a lot of scars around knowing how to advance these kind of deposits, and so I'm quite excited by this one. Our share structure, our capital structure. We recently completed a $63 million bought deal financing, with the majority of that being flow-through. With that, we had very strong support. Our lead order was Eric Sprott, but we really had strong support from institutional investors. It was well oversubscribed, and so our institutional investors went from less than 1% to 14%. Eric now holds 19%. Palisades is at 19%, with the remainder at 48%. We do have a private placement of $20 million backed by Eric Sprott to be approved at our annual general meeting in August. And once that is approved, our capital structure is the donut on the right, where Eric will then go to 23%, and Palisades at 19%, with the institutions at 14% and the remainder at 44%. So overall, we've got 230 million shares outstanding, market cap of about 430 million, and well supported by our lead shareholder, Eric Sprott, as well as institutions, good long-term hands. We're covered by 5 analysts: BMO Capital Markets, National Bank, Paradigm, Roth, and SCP. So lots of reports out there to read that I think cover us quite well, have a good handle on our story. And we're listed on the TSXV in Canada and the New York Stock Exchange in the US. So Newfoundland is Newfoundland Labrador. The island of Newfoundland is to the right of, to the east of Canada. And as we zoom in to the island of Newfoundland, you can see our claims package there. It takes up 2% of the island. The Trans-Canada cuts right through it, and as I mentioned, Gander's only 15 kilometers away. We've got a number of neighbors that on the island as well. We have Equinox Gold, who recently completed a merger with Calibre to take over the Valentine Lake gold mine. Maritime Resources has recently financed and is putting into production their Hammerdown project. And Firefly is advancing their Ming deposit through the permitting process. They recently were released from the EA process in Newfoundland. It only took them 45 days to get their environmental assessment, which is quite a feather in their cap, and demonstrates well how Newfoundland is really looking for those 5 mines by 2030. So we look to be one of those 5 mines. Our property package, as you see, is 110 kilometers long, about 20 kilometers wide, has the 2 main fault zones that are the gold controlling structures, the deep roots, if you will, to the gold mineralization, and they strike along the property package that's been assembled. In zeroing in on Queensway North, where the bulk of the work has been completed, you can see the AFZ or Appleton Fault Zone core to the west, where most of the discoveries have been made. most of the discovered deposits, and really the subject of the next phase, that is the PEA that's coming out. We do have a couple of smaller resources up to the north east, the AFZ peripheral, and then further to the east is the JBP. A small number of ounces. Really, the focus for us is the AFZ core. The mineral resource, the mineral resource that was completed back in March. One for the open pit, as I mentioned, we've got it's split between the open pit and underground. We've got 1.6 million ounces in the open pit and 400,000 in the underground. But 1.4 million ounces in the indicated category and 610,000 in the inferred. The resources were completed at 0.3 cutoff in the open pit and a 1.65 in the underground, with the minimum mining width in the underground at 1.8 meters. So in the picture that you see here, the shells, the pit shells that were completed, have an overall strip ratio of about 4.3. You can see how they've optimized over a number of vein clusters. There's 20 some odd pits that have optimized over 300 veins that have been modeled, and as you can see, those vein clusters created the number of small pits that are available. Now, as the clusters were discovered, the drilling results were coming back. They were getting good high-grade hits, and so they tightened their drill spacing to better understand these high-grade shoots that they were hitting. And so that's really a reflection of why the indicated category is 70% of the total resource. And you can see on the picture here where the green areas along Keats and Iceberg pits. Let me just draw a little bit. So this is the Keats pit, and this is the Iceberg pit. You can see how those two pits are mostly green, and that's a reflection of a tighter spaced, less than 30 meter center drilling in order to really understand the high grade shoots. As far as the underground resource, so below the orange pit shells, you can see is a bit spottier, and that's a reflection of the quantity of drilling that was done at depth. They focused on the close to surface resources, and so that's why we have 2/3 of the ounces in the underground in the inferred category, is because we just haven't done enough drilling to follow up on the high grade resources. Everything is wide open. It's at depth along strike. The strike you see in the picture here is 4 kilometers long, over 4 kilometers long. So there's lots of room here to find lots more veins. The real advantage of the deposit that we have here is when you look at the three main deposits, Keats, Iceberg, Keats West, focus on those. You can see here the block model at a 0.3 cutoff. It has all the ounces above 0.3 grams per ton, and the continuity is quite good. You can see over that almost 2 kilometer length, and then that's with Keats West on the northwest side there. When you look at the high grade, and when you increase the cutoff grade to 2 grams per ton, you can see how even the high grade shoots are quite continuous and do show how And similarly, you can see quite a bunch of them here over at Iceberg. And so you can really see how those high-grade chutes are quite continuous over that 500 meters. When you see that a secondary fault structure is then intersected by a tertiary fault structure, it's the joint of those two structures hitting where the gold seems to lie. And so you end up with about 75% of the ounces in 25% of the tons. For us, and it starts right at surface. And for us, that's a huge advantage in looking at how to start and develop this project. The really good work that was done at site was they exposed at surface the veins at Keats and Iceberg. And these exposures, they called them trenches, but really they're exposures. They measure basically about 4 football fields big. So that's quite a large area of veins to have exposed. Over at Keats, they channel sampled the veins at 7.5 meter centers. The dots that you see in the picture are the grades of the channel sample. So the light green is 0.3 to 1 gram. The orange is 1 to 3 grams. The red is 3 to 10 grams, and the purple is over 10 grams. So you can see how the high-grade veins are distributed here. And, when you look at just the surface area, it isn't hard to imagine how 75% of the ounces are in 25% of the tons. So you've got really a concentrated gold grade in the veins themselves. And this is why we had all these high-grade hits. Yet we did have in the surrounding alteration, the lower grade material. And the other advantage was that they were able to map it in detail. One of the biggest risks in dealing with vein type deposits is advancing, especially in underground mines. Those are the ones that you'll hear often. They got to the veins and it was different than what was interpreted. And so here we're able to expose it right at surface, use that mapping, use that interpretation to then build the geological model and have a good confidence that those high-grade veins, then what their interpretation is. And if I just spin this up a little bit, you'll also see how those high-grade veins, purple being above 10 grams a ton, do come right to surface. So we'll be able to we're looking at how to plan our development sequence to really take advantage of this high-grade vein structure. And as I mentioned, there we go. As I mentioned, they exposed it, they washed it down clean, and were really able to detail map it out. And the other, over at Iceberg, you can see how spectacular that vein is. And when you actually walk along it, we recently had a site visit with analysts, and they were able to walk along this vein that's probably about 300 meters long, and had VG spots, visible gold spots, all along it that were identified. So this year we're currently channel sampling at Iceberg in the same way that we did over at Keats. And so those results should be coming in the next couple of months. Now that the channel sampling program itself has been completed, we'll be waiting for the assays to release those assays in time. So again, we're able to look at this and say, we have this high-grade core, about 75% of the ounces in 25% of the tons. How can we take advantage of that, those high-grade veins, and bring those ounces forward in the mine plan? We have the 1.4 million ounces of indicated and 600,000 ounces of inferred, but that's not all we have. That's the first pin in the ground. That was the first resource put out. We have intersections that are outside that resource envelope that we've announced. Drilling that was done in the fourth quarter of last year was announced during the first half of this year. I'll point that in the underground or at depth, it's wide open. We have significant hits down at Keats South Deep and Keats Deep highlights here in the blue and here in the green. It's the same kind of structure that's been hit down here. And so we're doing work now to see what it is, the next steps for this area here. Over at Dome and Golden Dome, within the resource envelope, you can see how these veins are nicely tucked away. We're following up drilling in the Dome area this year in order to see how we can connect up some of these resources that have shown up within the resource resource area. I also want to point out that over 90% of the drilling was done above 250 meters, which really opens up at depth. You can see some of the intersections at depth. Still some good intersections, but very little drilling, basically below that 250 meter depth. 11 kilometers to the northeast of the core area, we have showing a discovery called Dropkick. Now, last year we bought the Kingsway property off of Labrador Gold, and it included this Dropkick and Pistachio areas, and we got to drilling on it in the last quarter, and you can see some of the results that were released since that drilling was completed in the fourth quarter of last year. 26 grams over over 16 meters, 89 grams over 5.8, etc. So we're quite excited by the Dropkick. It's open at depth, strike, and even towards surface. So we've got a drilling here as part of the drill program to expand our resource. Similarly at Pistachio, we're following up on some of this drilling that we've announced. So we're quite excited by this target. That's 11 kilometers to the north of the core area. So our drill program this year entails a total of 5 drills. 3 of them, 3 to 4, are focused on our infill drilling, our expansion of resources within that core area, and I'll call it the project-related drilling, such as geotechnical condemnation, etc. So we're focused, one, in the core area at advancing the project and advancing the engineering, and at Dropkick and Pistachio, really following up on some spectacular results that we hope to then convert into a resource in the future. On a more regional scale, the picture you see in front of you here, this, in terms of scale, this is 20 kilometers long, and what you see are surface grab samples, purple being over 10 grams a ton. So you can see how little and very little exploration drilling has been done in these areas. So you see where the core is, you see the peripheral, the JBP, just a small little dot along the JBP fault zone here. Really not a lot of drilling has been done. So we have lots of targets at Queensway North, and then if we go 60 kilometers or so to the south, we've got the Paul Pond Trend, we've got Devil's Pond to the south. Again, more grab samples through regional exploration and a couple of drill programs that really did come out with some very good results that are close to surface. You know, again, up above that 250 meter area. So, you know, we have that 110 kilometers, the two fault zones have demonstrated that there's mineralization along those fault zones. And so we're quite excited by not only the resource and the development opportunity that we have, but also the exploration potential ahead of us. This is truly district scale. So we're developing our project just outside of Gander, near the town of Appleton. Here's where the core is. Just outside of Gander. Your Tim Hortons coffee, if you will, doesn't even get cold by the time you get to site. And as I've mentioned before, the government has been really good to deal with. We've had some good initial discussions around working together and how to bring forward the project in the best manner. We've got access to that skilled workforce. I'll have to say that I've been up now a few times, and half the plane of people are workers that fly in and out from Newfoundland to some of the other mining operations, Fort McMurray, Detour, Nunavut, and so you know, they're looking for that long-term project to come home and be able to come and sleep in their beds. And access to infrastructure. The Trans-Canada Highway goes right through the property. In fact, there are a couple of little deposits that encroach on the highway that it doesn't look like we'll be putting in our plan. We've got renewable power that cuts right through. We have to move that hydro line in order to advance our project. The international airport. We're 60 kilometers from a deep sea shipping port. So we have all the advantages for development and operating a mine. Next, we've got some really great work that Jared has led as far as stakeholder engagement, really keeping the community engaged, updated with what's going on, allowing them to then ask questions, express concerns, address concerns, setting up the environmental baseline work, setting up the environmental monitoring. We've actually got some monitors that have been set up in the local streams that are being monitored not by us but by the government. So these are live monitors. You can go to the website and see them for yourself. So the water quality of those monitors. Excuse me. So again, Jared's done a really good job in that engagement, advancing the environmental baseline work. We're about 85 to 90% complete with that work. This year we'll complete the rest of the baseline work, putting us into a position to submit our application for environmental assessment towards the end of the year. And with that, we'll look to then start our permitting process. And of course, given that we've got this community or population of 40,000 or so within an hour's drive, we're drawing on it, and so we've got well over 90% of the employees now call Newfoundland home. So the key studies, as I've mentioned, the environmental baseline work, the host rock studies, which are part of that, which is the hydrogeological work and the geotechnical investigations that we require to advance the study work from the PEA towards more advanced studies like a feasibility study. And lastly, the metallurgy. There have been 3 phases now completed. Phase 1 and 2 were done on Iceberg, Golden Joint, Lotto, and Keats. And those demonstrated very good recoveries, in particular for that material above 2 grams per ton. And now we initiated for Keats West metallurgical work. Now Keats West is a bit different metallurgy. It's got some more refractory material, and so we're advancing the study work to determine how to deal with that refractory work. In the mineral resource study, we've got a process that's designed where it's crush, grind, gravity. We get very good recovery out of gravity, and then there's a flotation unit where we'll concentrate at flotation, and then we'll cyanide the float tails to further recover the gold. So that's the process that we've envisioned, and we're advancing that through the PEA process. So looking ahead, we've got the PEA that's near completion, just in the final throes now of compiling it and finishing the optimizations that always come at the end of a PEA. Our drill program this year, we've got, of course, the infill drilling that will upgrade the resources to the indicated category. Second, we're focused on exploration, which expands resources, 1, within the resource footprint, but 2, as I've mentioned, with a focus at dropkick, following up on those high-grade veins, and as well, more regionally, generating more targets so that we can keep this momentum going. And third, we'll start detailed drilling, definition drilling, the areas where we would start mining right away, if you will, and those areas so that, 1, we can get at tight spaced drillings, like I was down to 5-meter centers, and that way there we're going to be able to then have all the data points to properly do the statistics. In high-grade deposits, we do have this issue where nuggety gold is difficult to statistically model. The answers, the estimates could vary quite a bit, and so by having more data points, tightly spaced drill, close to surface where we would end up mining it in the first instance, that will allow us then to reconcile against the estimates and really fine-tune the model, and that should open up how to then interpret the rest of the deposit and not feel as though we're being too conservative. And as I've mentioned, bulk sample, really that first area that we would mine is that area where we would want to reconcile against the drilling, and so planning underway now is to how to go about mining out those high-grade areas. The metallurgical test work is ongoing. We're now planning for the larger program to be in a position to advance it to a next phase of study. And as the permitting and environmental baseline work, that will support the application of environmental assessment certificate towards the end of this year. So why should you invest in Newfound Gold? Look, we've got a robust PEA with a high-grade core. where 75% of the ounces are in 25% of the tons. That allows for such flexibility. It really should show how we can get a high grade start. Fully funded PEA underway, which will be announced in the very near future. We've got fantastic exploration potential at depth, on strike, but as well camp scale. We're in Newfoundland and Labrador, great jurisdiction with excellent infrastructure. So, not this remote camp with more difficult logistics. We've got the right leadership in place to advance it, that has the experience of doing this. And this year we've got a catalyst-rich year ahead. We've got the PEA, we've got exploration results, we've got channel sampling, we've got the definition drilling, we've got exploration, and and the permitting. So quite an exciting year for us coming up. Thanks for listening, and please reach out if you have any more questions.